Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Borough Hall. My name is Andrew Gennardis. I'm the Borough Presidents Council. I'm sorry I don't have a nameplate, so just hopefully your memories will remember. We have two items on the agenda this evening. Or sorry, one item on the agenda this evening. This hearing is being recorded to comply with public law for transparency. It'll be available on the Borough President's website, which is brooklyn-usa.org, or on the One Brooklyn channel on YouTube. Web viewers may submit timely comments to askeric@brooklynbp.nyc.gov for Borough President Adams' consideration. Who's going to call the first item? Ina? Yeah. Ina, can you please call the first item?
Calendar item 1, St. Andrews Community Daycare Center, 150187 PQK. Back to you.
This application by the Administration for Children's Services and the Department of Citywide Administrative Services for the acquisition of property located at 4917 4th Avenue in the Sunset Park neighborhood of Community District 7. Such actions would facilitate the continued provision of child care services at the site according to a lease. Community Board 7 voted to approve this application with conditions on January 17th, 2018. Would Ken Robinson, the representative for this application, please state your name for the record and present the application?
Ken Robinson. In the mic, please. My name is Kenneth Robinson. I'm with ACS's Office of General Counsel, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the application. We are asking members of the community, of the Borough President, rather, staff, members of the community. We are asking for that our application for the continued use of a part of the site as a child care center be approved. This space has been in use as a child care center since the 1970s. At this point, it's budgeted for 35 children, and it has 35 children. It is a contracted early learn child care eligible program, which means that children who attend have to come from families who, one, earn up to 200% of the federal poverty level, two, have a reason for care. The reasons include working, being in school or in a job training program, for up to 6 months of looking for work, or not having a permanent home. This site is on the first floor of St. Andrew's Church, and it does serve a need in the community, and we're asking that it be approved.
Thank you. Richard, do you have questions?
It is in the interest of this community for child care facilities to serve neighborhood residents. What are the number of contract seats, and what are the criteria for selecting children to attend the center when vacancies arise?
What I said before, this contract for 35 seats, and all 35 seats are at the moment filled, and the criteria is to be early learn eligible, which I said before, but I can repeat, which is the parent or guardian having an income of no more than 200% of the federal poverty level, and having a reason for care, which includes working, being in school or in a job training program, up to 6 months of looking for work, or not having a permanent home.
Okay, thank you. It is the Borough President's policy to maximize job opportunities for Brooklynites with local businesses. Therefore, when hiring opportunities arise, how does this child care center go about filling such opportunities, and what steps might be taken in the future to promote locally based hiring?
Okay. It advertises on the Daycare Council website. The programs do it individually. ACS does not do it. I can also speak out of experience that some early education programs have job placement boards. For example, City College downtown, I know for a fact, does have a board. So community residents should check the Daycare Council website and apply there, or check with early learning educational programs, which do where these programs are advertised.
Thank you. Borough President Adams has been concerned that more financially lucrative opportunities are available to landlords. Thus, child care facilities are at risk from losing their leases and not being able to continue serving their communities.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
Borough President Adams understands that the nature of the limited number of years for this lease being requested is to accommodate the property owner's interest to redevelop all or part of the site, leading to displacement of the child care center should proper arrangements not be established. What consideration would be given to memorializing the city's intent to resume child care services within such redevelopment of the site according to a legal mechanism? And given the time required to achieve a redevelopment site for child care services to resume on the location, in order to avoid an interruption of services, of child care services to the current users, what consideration would be given to relocating the child care center to a nearby site during construction?
Okay, well, first of all, as the nearby sites, we provided a list of actually all the facilities in the city, and those are being looked at. And I will defer to Ms. Laserson for a more detailed answer to this question.
I thank you. And just state your name for the record, Dale.
I will. Thank you, Ken. Thanks again, Ken. Good evening. My name is Dale Lazarson, and for the record, I am with DCAS in the Real Estate Services Department area of leasing. So to respond to the questions, and if I get them out of order, help me along. First and foremost, yes. At this point in time, the space that this ULURP application is requesting approval for, it's a portion of the property, not all of it, and it is the space that is described in the application, the ground floor of the church and an exterior play area. With respect to more lucrative opportunities and the displacement, the good news is that we do not believe that the church itself is going anywhere. So the actual building itself is not expected to go anywhere. What we do understand, however, is that the church may be interested in separating the current one lot. This is one BBL, which contains both the church as well as the exterior play area. If the church is interested in disposing of the exterior outdoor space, the play area, whether or not the city will have an opportunity to participate in any redevelopment of that particular portion of the property once separated is to be determined. DCAS is currently in front of the church representatives to understand their redevelopment plans, but again, it won't be the church redeveloping, it would be the church disposing of the portion and then a development company coming in, perhaps by an RFP. So we have requested, in terms of a legal mechanism, we are not in a position to bind the city at all. However, again, we are in dialogue with the church to see whether or not there's any opportunity to potentially condition the RFP for the developer, or potentially condition the sale of the property with a deed restriction that may include the redeveloped site to allow for community use and a daycare center. But that is all speculative. Right now, what we certainly know is that we're in dialogue to resecure the existing space for a 5-year term. The 5-year term is limited, not because of the church's interest in a potential disposition of a portion of the site, but more because the church itself is interested to retake the space that that the daycare center is occupying for its own use. So in terms of being proactive, with your approval, if we secure ULURP, we will work diligently to resecure the space for the 5-year term proposed, and then working with ACS, it will be very incumbent upon ACS to look to the future, to see should the space be lost after 5 years, but in advance, we'll start working with ACS to cite new opportunities in the immediate area, one of which may be the potential redevelopment portion of the property. But we will be in front of this situation with ACS as soon as appropriate, pursuant to city standard mechanisms.
So I think something to watch for would be to what extent the church will be looking for funding through the designated developer to perhaps upgrade the church, which may or may not have a temporary issue of displacement of the church, because if a fixed needs, we understand that
Yeah.
something has to be accommodated, and
Yeah.
the other issue would be being next to construction site, making sure that there's nothing adverse for the operation during construction. So I guess some things to be mindful of, not necessarily locked in, but at least to try to anticipate, since there's permutations of what may happen moving forward.
Right, and I think it's a great point, and we will certainly keep our eye on that. And I think that for practical purposes, if we are entering into a lease that allows for the space that we are using, which includes that outdoor area, we wouldn't lose the outdoor area. The development couldn't probably start until a lease ended. However, to your point, if we're able to even extend further, and that particular portion of the property was separated and started redevelopment, we would certainly lose the outdoor space, and you're right. It would be very challenging, perhaps, to continue to occupy and operate with that construction right there. So the idea would be, we'll secure this space and immediately begin working with ACS to determine for the long term what other sites may be available, including the incumbent redevelopment. It's very likely that if we were to have an opportunity to be in the redevelopment, we would actually look for swing space, just based on the fact the church has already identified that it does need its space back. So I think right now we have a very short-term horizon of a five-year opportunity, and once we put this particular transaction away, we will begin looking very quickly at what we will do, not only for the short term but long term. It could
And
be a
if
swing
during the
and miss.
tenure of the lease, and ultimately the outdoor space is not available, and the spaces, and maybe it's more ACS response, but you do have spaces which do not come with outdoor spaces, is that so?
That's correct. Actually, several of ACS daycare centers have, most of the daycare centers may have a roof space for a play area or an exterior yard space, but there actually are centers that do not have outdoor space as a part of the lease. So play activities are often coordinated with a local public or private park or an adjacent land area that is a playground. Yeah, so the answer to your question is yes, ACS does have locations where the actual lease doesn't come with it, but ACS does deliver upon the outdoor play activities by another mechanism of support, a playground, for example. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we do not have speakers.
Anyone wish to make a comment or ask a question? No? Okay, seeing none, the hearing on these items is now closed. Thank you for participating in this public hearing. Borough President Adams will review the application we heard this evening and will soon submit his recommendation to the City Planning Commission. Borough President Adams would like to take this opportunity to remind you that the City Planning Commission will hold a public hearing on this item. This hearing is now adjourned. As a final reminder, those viewing online can submit timely comments that may be submitted via email to askeric@brooklynbp.nyc.gov. Thank you.